Hello, my name is Trisha Hoffman, and I am a middle school social studies teacher in Sofia, Bulgaria. And I'm going to talk to you today about human performance technology, and more specifically, how we can apply human performance technology at the Anglo-American School of Sofia. In the modern classroom, technology is often available, but it's not always used correctly. It's not always used to its fullest abilities. Smartboards, smart projectors, iPads, laptops, Apple TVs, phones, all these things are technology that we have in the classrooms around the world. And a lot of times they are just sitting in the classrooms, not used as effectively as they could be. This is a waste of school funding as schools are spending money on this technology, and it's really important that we use it to help students learn better. Human performance technology and human performance improvement are ways that we can use to organize people and to improve their performance and outcomes, working on finding the gap between what is happening and what should be happening. So over time, HPT has developed, and the roots come from B.F. Skinner. Many of you know B.F. Skinner, who taught that humans are influenced by their environment. Today, when we look at the classroom, we look at the technology-rich classrooms that we have. So lots of schools have technology in their classrooms, but teachers maybe are hesitant to use all of the technology that they have available. However, during the pandemic, educators were forced to teach online, forced to adapt to new technology, possibly, and to learn to implement a new way of teaching. And now is the time to continue that momentum, continually moving forward and learning how to use new technology. Many schools have transitioned from the teacher-centered classroom, which was the traditional classroom, to more of a modern classroom where students are engaged in the learning. You can see here where the teacher's up in front of the class, the kids or students are sitting in rows or just listening to the teacher, possibly taking notes. That is our traditional teacher-centered classrooms. Today, our student-centered classrooms are more in groups, ways that students can collaborate. You can see students sitting around. You can see in each of the different areas where students could be collaborating, sitting at these round tables, sitting at rectangle desks so that they can all work together and collaborate together. Brown stated that students learn better by doing rather than by watching and listening. However, this also means that teachers have to change who they are as a teacher, and they have to adapt to new ways of learning. We teach our students that they need to be lifelong learners. This is something that we need to adapt as well. We need to have that growth mindset and be willing to set the example to students about learning and adapting to change. Teachers are often unwilling to leave their comfort zone and learn new technology. There's a big generation gap right now between teachers and students. Teachers that grew up in the teacher-centered classroom and students that are growing up in this technology age of working together, collaboration, being part of their learning. So this combination is difficult at times for teachers to learn how to use technology properly and to engage the students in the 21st century skills. Today we have interactive whiteboards, we have Apple TVs, we have smart projectors, some students have their phones. All these things can connect to the internet and create an interactive classroom. Nidholm said that a friendly and collaborative classroom can be built around interactive learning. So students get excited when they're able to learn interactively and use technology in their lessons. When we had to teach online classes through the pandemic, those who had never taught online or were uncomfortable teaching online had to adapt. They didn't really have a choice. They had to adapt to the distance learning. According to Bakla, we're in the fourth stage of technology where household and everyday products are connected to the internet, and most people have multiple devices. When you look around your home, you may have Alexa that talks to people. You may have lights that will turn on automatically. All of these things are the multiple devices, right, that we all have, and ways that we can connect to the internet. As educators who encourage our lifelong learning, we can learn from our students and learn to be more adaptable. So the human performance technology is a step-by-step approach. This step-by-step approach can be used in education and businesses to design, implement, and evaluate a solution to fill the gap between what is and what should be. But in order to be effective, it must be a comprehensive solution that solves the whole problem and not just part of a problem. If only part of the problem is solved, it might interfere with other parts of the organization and create more problems. If we don't see the gap, then we might just be creating more problems. Following the HPT model, practitioners must learn the value of the end goal they aim for. So they need to know what the goal is that they are striving for. They must also help the client understand the advantages of their approach and help the organization quickly get results. This is a systematic approach to finding the gap and designing and implementing a solution. Oftentimes, training alone does not solve the root of the problem. Human performance practitioners use a systematic and holistic approach to understanding not just how and what, but also the why. So we need to get all the way to the root of the problem. Might not be just this one problem, but when you look at the whole forest, then we need to be able to have a whole understanding of what the problem is. We need to look at the whole organization in order to find the gap and what the problem actually is, rather than what it just seemed to be. When looking for a definition of HPT, you can find many of them on the internet. Kang and Melinda have gathered together a lot of the information to create this definition, which says HPT is a field committed to helping people and organizations where they become more productive through the study and ethical practice of a systemic, and evidence-based methodology of identifying performance deficiencies and opportunities, designing and developing cost-effective and ethical solutions, implementing them, and determining their worth, thereby enhancing the success of individuals, teams, and organizations, and thus the well-being of society. Obviously, this is a big definition. It's something that we've been talking about and learning about and breaking it down. There's another video that I have done that actually breaks down this definition. If you want to watch that one, I can attach it here to the presentation and gives you a better idea of how we can use this definition here at AAS. Some of you remember a principal that we had in the last few years that used to say that her job was to make our jobs easier. That's the same type of a thing for the HPT practitioners. Their job is to make our jobs easier, or jobs of the people that they're helping, to make them easier to accomplish their goals. According to Gilbert, there are 6 aspects to behavior. First, a person must be intrinsically motivated to do what's asked of him. Second, he must have the incentive to do the work. Third, he must be capable of doing what is asked of him. And fourth, he needs to have the necessary materials to perform the work. Fifth is he has to have the knowledge to determine what he needs to do. And 6, he needs to be given the correct instructions of what is required. The overall performance will be lacking if several of these aspects are missing. So each aspect individually is important in order for it to be successful. So HPT is growing continually, and it's adapting and trying to change the world. University programs have been making changes to their degree programs. There's lots of different not lots. There are a few examples of HPT used in education. It is still a new field. And so today we're going to talk about how it can be effective at the Anglo-American school. As you can see, here are some pictures of our school grounds. It is located on the outskirts of Sofia, Bulgaria. It's an international school. It has students from more than 50 countries, from pre-kindergarten to grade 12. It's nestled at the base of the Rila Mountains in Bulgaria. Has a beautiful campus, experienced international teachers, and students receive a top education. So the school does boast of high technology learning. However, there seems to be a bit of a gap between the available technology and the technology is actually being used in learning. Recently, as you know, teachers were moved around the campus and shifted into different wings to better allocate the learning spaces. Teachers left classrooms that might have had an older projector and an interactive smartboard and were moved into classes that appeared to have a newer projector but no interactive ability. After playing around with it a bit and investigating and talking to IT, the projectors were actually smart projectors, but none of the teachers in that wing had been trained to use them. None of the teachers in that wing knew that they had smart projectors, and even the IT department didn't know that they were smart projectors or where all the information was to train teachers on how to use them. So, looking at that, we need to find what the solution is to the problem. One solution may create other problems. So, we need to be careful of the domino effect. Finding a problem and implementing a solution may affect other areas of the organization, may create more problems. So, focusing on one problem often leaves other projects unattended. Schools are often like this. We often have lots of different projects and ideas and trainings that we are going through, working on lots of different areas at one time. However, there is always this chance that focusing on one thing, learning about technology, may leave other things unattended and forgotten, or just not being able to be improved as they need to throughout that year. So, in order to make sure that this doesn't happen, an analysis needs to be holistic and needing to look at the whole organization. It needs to see what are the projects that are going on, where can they help, how can they make things better for the company, or in our case, for our school. The analysis should also consider the who, what, and why. Knowing who is involved, getting all participants to buy into the issue's importance, and understanding why is important are essential components of the analysis phase. So the problem at AAS may be that teachers don't know how to use the technology, or that the technology is not beneficial for their lessons, or perhaps the technology doesn't work. The goal of the HPT practitioner is to find the root of the problem using a systematic and systemic process. Comparing the actual performance with the desired performance identifies the performance gap. At AAS, teachers have technology, and we know that it's not being used efficiently because teachers didn't even know that they had a smart projector. But it's unknown what the performance goal is for this school. So, do they want all teachers to use the smart projectors? Do they want to spend the time and effort to train the teachers on how to implement this technology in the classrooms? Do teachers use a different technology that is just as beneficial? Therefore, the current classroom technology is unnecessary? Are teachers motivated to learn how to use and implement the technology into their lesson plans? Does the school director and principals know the technology is available and not being used in the classrooms? So, this HPT approach could be used at AAS to determine what technology the school has, what the teachers need to know to adequately use the technology, and what the goal is from the principals or director in the use of the technology. So, looking at the analysis phase, we want to ask why. We want to know why teachers have technology in their classroom, why they are not properly trained or motivated to use it. Time might also be a problem. The emphasis with the HPT model is to find the true problem before just providing training. So you can encourage practitioners to focus on the opportunity analysis rather than the cause analysis. I think I lost this slide. Oh, here we go. I'm so sorry. Here's the opportunity analysis versus the cause analysis. What opportunity do teachers receive by implementing technology? And the cause analysis focuses on the problem rather than the outcome. So we could look at we could begin with a questionnaire, right? And we can determine what technology the teachers have in their classrooms, what technology they currently use. It could also include what technology their classroom is missing. And then a deeper analysis would need to take place to determine if it's a performance, a time, a knowledge, or a motivational issue. In the design and development phase, this phase is to design and develop a solution to the problem. If the problem at AAS is that teachers do not know how to use the technology in their classrooms, then a training session might be provided. If there's no time for a training session, training could be provided online, as in the case of Purdue University. They've given a great example of creating an online platform where teachers can go and watch a video or learn on their own the information that they need in order to be successful in their classrooms. Perhaps the projectors are missing the pins or the sheet that makes it a smart projector. Then the solution would be to first find them or to purchase them if needed and ensure that the projectors are working before providing the training. So most likely, the training won't solve the problem. Teachers will need to understand the advantages of using the technology. Without internal motivation, teachers can sit through the training, but then be unmotivated to implement it in their classrooms. Most of us have been in these situations where we've sat in training and then have done nothing with the training. Jung stated that implementing a solution might solve the problem, but will it go above and beyond the problem? So using technology in the classroom today might help students be more involved in their learning, but what is the long-term motivation? Keeping up with technology may make it easier to learn future technology, so that could be one of the motivations, that we can just keep up rather than falling behind in technology. Or maybe showing students that teachers are willing to learn new things and might encourage them to try new things as well. So motivation and incentives may need to be incorporated in the design and development phase to make the solution possible. When we look at the implementation phase, once a solution is developed, it needs to be implemented. So the IT department might provide training. We have Wednesday staff meetings that they could provide the training during, or possibly in smaller groups where they could be in the classroom so that we can use the smart boards or smart projectors or Apple TVs or iPads. They could provide the training to the department heads, who in turn could then provide it to each of their departments. So there's a lot of different ways that the training can be implemented if training is the solution. Not like knowing how to use the technology might help some teachers use it in their lesson plans, because that might be the problem for some teachers, but others still may not be motivated to take the time necessary to restructure their lesson plans and implementing the training. So motivation and incentives may be needed for teachers to increase technology use in their classrooms. The evaluation phase is continual, and it should be done continually throughout this process, and it should consider the worth of the initiative. This phase can happen during each of the other phases to make sure that we are still focused on the goal and we still know what the gap is that we're trying to fix. Here it's important to ask and answer the question of why. Why did the school buy the projectors? Why are the teachers not trained to use them? Why are the projectors missing the pins in the interactive sheet? Why are teachers not motivated to use technology? Asking why will help focus on the problem and ensure the solution answers the actual problem. So measuring and tracking may be involved in the evaluation. If during any phase something goes wrong or the solution is not solving the problem, then we can move back to the previous phase and start again, which is why in this phase it's imperative that it's happening during each of the other phases. This will allow problems and issues that arise to be solved before the project is over and realizing that we didn't solve the actual problem. So, in conclusion, the goal of human performance technology is to analyze a situation or organization and determine what is currently happening and what they want to have happen. Determining the gap is a challenge, and the HPT practitioner should look at the whole organization before determining the problem. Changing one area of an organization may create a domino effect by affecting the other areas. Just like when doing a puzzle, we need to look at the whole puzzle and see the whole picture. Here also is an organizational chart, so we might need to see how it's going to affect the different organizations, maybe by different grade levels, maybe by different departments. Once the gap has been determined, a solution can be designed, developed, and implemented. Throughout the process, evaluation should occur to ensure that the solution is solving the actual problem. Knowing what the requirements are for the organization is essential in determining where they are and where they want to be with those requirements. So at AAS, the goal is for teachers to use the technology that is available to them, as the school, of course, spends a lot of money to buy the expensive technology, and it can be a valuable resource if it's used correctly. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I hope this helps AAS find the gap in our technology and find a solution to fill this gap. And here are the references. Thank you.